Hi again guys, and welcome back to another Big Al Devlin video here with Arlo, my little fella. This video is going to be just the basics on what I've learnt so far on diet and food for dogs. It's something obviously that can help maintain their health and promote, as you know, healthy growth in them. Obviously, little fella's waking up. And so obviously it's an important topic to learn because dogs love their food. They'll eat anything, but you've got to make sure that obviously that they're eating the right stuff and roughly the right amount. Now, I'm not going to get into the details, so to speak, in this video because I need to research it. As I say, I'm learning this thing as I go along, and I don't know the figures off the top of my head. But I'll just basically describe what I'm doing with my dog. Me and my partner are doing with the dog at the moment, and it is working really well, and it's something for you guys to consider. It's not something you've considered already. Now, when we first got him, obviously we had to keep him on the same food that the breeders were feeding him, which was basic sort of puppy transition food, because of course when they're first born they are dependent on their mother for milk, and they survive purely off milk pretty much. They're with the mother for 8 weeks minimum. We got him at 8 weeks, which is the youngest you should really get your puppy. You should never take your puppy away from their mother before 8 weeks because it's bad for their immune system, it's bad for their growth, and they also need to, the mother helps teach them basic socialization skills, so not to bite, and you know, get some used to a little bit to other dogs and stuff. So it's important to have him with the litter and the mother for at least 8 weeks. Now, when you first get him, obviously, they would have, the breeders, if they've done the job right, sort of thing, and we had fantastic breeders, the really good breeders, they will have them on some basic kind of puppy food, which is sort of semi-solid food, and you keep them on that for a while whilst transitioning them onto whatever food you want them to have. And that food, for us at the beginning, was a mixture of wet and dry food. It was, you know, sachets of meat to the quantity that was recommended on the sachets, which I think was like half a packet or quarter of a packet at the time. It's dependent on body weight at that point, but we gave him the recommended amount of meat, mixed in with biscuits as well, the dry food. And we did that 4 times a day. So puppies actually get fed 4 times a day, but as the dog gets older you tend to feed them less, but obviously more per meal. So puppies will eat, when they first start, 4 times a day, but smaller quantities obviously, but as you then transition them to 3 meals, and then eventually 2 meals a day. So when he's older he'll be having 2 meals a day, that's it. But there will be big meals, and you can obviously have treats in between and stuff like that, but his primary source of nutrition will be 2 meals a day when he's fully grown, which we haven't got to at that point. He's on 3 meals now, or at the age of 4 months. Okay, we moved him on to 3 meals a little while back. We are fairly regimented at the beginning with feeding times. We used to feed him at, you know, as literally on the minute. So 8:30 was his first meal. Then I think it was 1:30. I mean, the girlfriend controls the feeding times, so I think then it was 12:30, and then it was like it was regular intervals anyway, and then it 12:30, 4:30, and then his final meal was 8:30. So every 4 hours essentially to get the 4 meals in. At the moment we feed him at 8:30, 1:30, and then I think it's then again at sort of 7:30, 8:30 sort of time, because he's on 3 meals a day now. Now, the reason why I can't give you specific times now is because we've learned it's not as useful to have them completely regimented, like on the minute every day, same time, because obviously, first of all, your life will get in the way if you're working, or like my girlfriend is, going to hospital appointments or anything along those lines, where your day is not 100% guaranteed to be as regimented as you want theirs to be. Then obviously they have to be able to adapt to accommodate to your lifestyle as well as you trying to adapt to theirs as best as possible. And so we've made it where, well, if he gets his food half an hour early or half an hour late, it doesn't matter, it's that time plus or minus a little bit of extra time, just so that he can not get too stressed if a meal has to come in late. Say we're just busy and he ends up having a meal 45 minutes after he would normally have it. Well, it doesn't matter, he will be disciplined enough to know, well, he is going to eat, we're not going to let him starve, but he will have it. Or if we know that we're rushing out and we know that we're not going to be able to feed him on time and it'll be the earliest we'll be able to feed him about 3-4 hours after he should eat. He's going to miss a meal. We'll give him a meal beforehand, or take some food with us, so he'll have 2 smaller meals and stuff like that. So we keep him fairly disjointed now, still with a fairly regimented eating pattern, but we don't mind some flexibility within it, just because that will help him get used to, if we simply are not around to feed him properly, or we're too busy to feed him properly at the times that we want, that at least he will take advantage of the food being there when it is there. He's not going to leave it thinking, oh no, I'm not hungry yet, I'll eat in a couple hours time, not realising, no, you're not going to be able to eat in a couple hours time. So that's what we've been working with. In addition to this, the food that we have him on, we've changed. At first I said to my girlfriend that 100%, we should definitely do him on raw food. And raw food, people may not understand that term. Raw food is like proper real food. So it's not like canned or tinned or sachets dog food that's been basically processed. It's essentially like a microwave meal for humans. It will sustain you, it will feed you, but it's not necessarily the highest quality food. Raw food is like organic food for us. It's in my opinion, the best quality food that a dog can have, and it will include real meat like chicken, beef, tripe, duck, whatever it is that the dog enjoys, and you give a mixture of them, obviously, and it will include offal, and it will include ground bone also. Now I'll go into the details of how much each sort of part will be when we get onto that, because at the moment we're transitioning into raw food, so it's not something you can do straight away. Now you can do it straight away from when they're a puppy. As soon as they start eating, they can go straight onto raws, because it's what they're designed to. In nature, they would be eating raw food. You don't have to feed them the dog food, unless, of course, as I say, the breeders have had them on that, puppy food from day one. Obviously, then you'll have to transition them into raw food, but you can start transitioning them into raw food straight away if you want. Now we've started to do it just about a month ago, so when he was about 3 months old. And the way that you transition into it is you get them used to 1 meat at a time, and then when they're finally up to 4 meats, then you can start giving them the proper food that you get from the butchers, like the mix of offal, minced meat, rather than sort of pasted meat and stuff. And you can then start feeding them, as I say, like the proper food that you have to prepare yourself. But at the moment, we're transitioning him in by giving him these sort of, they're like cubes, essentially, cubes of sort of almost like pasted meat. The first one that he had was a mixture of, was chicken. Oh, hello, little fella. Whoops. Sorry about that, guys. Technical difficulties. Problem with working with animals and children. I know television presenters and that, they say never work with children or animals because they're unpredictable. He just kicked my camera whilst stretching out. So basically what I was saying was, you have to transition them meat by meat into raw food, and we started them on these cubes that you can get from any kind of pet store that are frozen. You put them in your freezer, then you put them in the fridge to defrost them, and you give them X amount of cubes per meal, which for him is 13.5 cubes. So we give him 13.5 cubes of this food, and within the cube it's essentially compressed meat. And for him, the first one was chicken, then his second one was chicken and salmon. We then tried him on lamb, but he didn't like the lamb. He was leaving it. He was eating it just enough to keep himself going, but he didn't like it, so we took him off the lamb fairly early on. We keep him on them for a week to a couple of weeks per meat before adding more. And then we added him, so we swapped the lamb for tripe with a mix of chicken in there also. So obviously he's got a little bit of chicken in his diet all the time. And the next one that we'll put him on as his fourth meat, or sort of the last meat to introduce him into, will be some form of beef. Beef cubes as well. So then he will have had salmon, chicken. We're not going to count the lamb, tripe, and beef. And he would have been introduced to lamb, he just didn't like it. So his stomach will then be sort of used to handling a range of meats. Once he's used to handling a range of meats, then, as I say, and you can get him onto the proper raws, which is not like cubed. sort of food that was just still real meat. I mean, if you were to let that defrost properly and then squeeze it, it is actually sort of proper food. It's just being compressed into a cube just for ease of use and transportation, storage. The next stage, as I say, which we haven't quite got to yet, is to feed him then on things like hearts, lung, liver, kidneys, and obviously then the meats themselves, which we're going to feed him minced versions of the meat just because it's cheaper. And also then we're going to buy ground bone to mix in with it because he needs bone within his diet also. But the details of that I'll get onto once I start doing it. There's no point talking about something I haven't done yet, although I might do a video on the theory that I've read on it and how we balance it. Now my girlfriend uses an app which I don't know the name of, but I will share with you. I'll ask her tonight, and in the next video I'll tell you. She uses an app to know how much of whatever food to give him. I think it's called Raw Food for Pets or something. If you just use your iPhone or your Android and put raw food pets in, or dogs in even, then you'll probably find the app, or a similar app anyway. And basically you just put in the breed, the age and the breed of the dog, the weight, importantly. You might not need the breed, but certainly the weight and age of the dog, and then they'll then tell you how much food to give them, how much meat to give them, how much offal to give them, how much bone to give them. Okay, to keep them as fully healthy and as and as good as possible. So this is the point where we are with his food now. If anyone has done raw food, then obviously tell us how it's going and how you handle it. We're really looking forward to getting him onto the proper food, but he is on raws now. But I in my mind, the cubes are almost still kind of like fake raw. It is raw food, but it's not really proper raw food. But they are complete food, so there is a mixture of bone and offal in the cubes, but predominantly it's mostly meat. So it is going well. His response to the raw food has been excellent as well. He's started. I mean, he was always a fast grower, but he's started growing even faster than normal, than he was before. He's putting on good size. He's lean. Okay. He's got a lot of energy, even though he's sleeping at the moment. When he's out walking, he's got good fitness, good endurance, and he is just. You can tell he's a healthy dog because he's such a happy dog as well, and you know he's got good fur, good skin, good growth, good energy levels. You can't ask for more. So he's responded so well to it, and his guts has been good. His toilet habits have been excellent, especially in comparison to the when we were having them on biscuits. He didn't like them so much. His guts, he had sometimes diarrhea and stuff, which is a bit gross talking about on here, but guys, if you're a dog lover, you'll understand. It's part and parcel of it, right? You got to handle their toilet systems for them. Other than that, guys, I think I've talked enough about diet there for an initial video. I'm used to doing almost half an hour long videos, so doing a 5-minute video seems a bit short to me, but it's a nice introduction at least anyway, and feel free to give me any experiences you've had, or if you've got any questions about raw food. I do know a reasonable amount of it. I can certainly, it's easier to answer comments rather than do a video at the moment because, as I say, I'm learning it, but I have all the literature to reference. So if you guys got a question, I might not know it off the top of my head. Like if this was like a live video, I probably wouldn't be able to give you a complete 100% short answer. But I, can to a comment, I can go read the literature and then tell you, oh yeah, this is what we're going to be doing. Boom, boom, boom. I can reference my notes that I have. But obviously over time, it'll become second nature. As I get this got a little buddy up to full adult size and status, I'll be used to handling his food completely and be able to tell, yeah, he has this much heart, he has this much long, boom, 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 to the gram, because I'll be handling his food from then on in. Girlfriend will be feeding him, but I'll be preparing all the food because she doesn't want to get into all the icky food. You know, she like a lot of people, she doesn't want to be handling organs and stuff. But to me, it doesn't bother me. In fact, I bought a new knife. If you guys haven't seen it, watch my Damascus knife an opening. I've bought a special knife just to a Bowie knife just to be able to handle his food. It's a hunting knife, but it's obviously going to be very good for handling tough to cut meats. Anyway, that's goodbye for Marlo. And it's goodbye from me. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Alright, so this is just a quick look at the food that I was mentioning. It's, like you can see, complete food with this particular one is tripe and chicken, and this is what we're putting them on at the moment before getting them onto proper raws. So I just wanted to show you what it's like, what it looks like, because it's Otto's feeding time.